Saturday, and things are hotting up here at the European Ultimate Championship Finals 2023. It is the business end, the pointy part of the bracket. Tequila Boom Boom in the women's division, facing up against Box of Vienna, initial 5th and 11th seeding. So, of course, neither taking the top spot in their initial pools, having to play it out here to see who will advance towards the gold medal matches happening tomorrow. Myself, Hannah Pendlebury, alongside Rachel Douglas, this fine, cool morning here in Wrocław, Poland.
Yeah, slightly different conditions so far today. Obviously, it's first thing in the morning, first game of the day. Both these teams coming out from their hotels, trying to get their energy high in their warm-ups, get the blood pumping, and make sure the coffee's hitting right. Yeah, the conditions are much more overcast right now, and we have got a little bit of a gust, which yesterday we sort of felt minimal pressure from the conditions. It was sunny. There was this really sort of minimal breeze, not much to speak of. And today it feels like it's going to be a new challenge for these teams, both of whom will have really kind of adapted to yesterday's style of play. So they've got a bit of a double task for them this morning. It's come out, get your energy flowing, get your focus ready for this game. First game of the day can be quite challenging, but also think about how this is going to be different to yesterday. You can't just keep playing the same game. Both of these teams are going to have to make the right adaptations to make sure they're coming in strong.
Well, as we mentioned, both of these teams have not managed to win it out here. Of course, the top spots in the pools in the women's division, they have a nice morning off today on Saturday, second game of the action. Today, the games will be a little bit longer. They'll be 90 minutes versus yesterday's 80. But I think the big difference really is that Rimini is known for its breeze. So perhaps a change in the conditions, a little bit inclement. Yes, it's very chilly compared to that lovely coastal part of Italy. But actually, I think, Doug, there's a little bit of an advantage, especially because yesterday the deep game was very much on the receptions for Tequila Boom Boom when we were talking to them. Whereas Vienna, they do have a little bit of wind going there, but it's not really quite got that consistent breeze just by its geographical location. But of course, they took that upset in the pools yesterday.
Yeah, definitely Box Vienna working hard, got an amazing win over Shout, 14-13, only to then fall 13-11 to Iceni. So they'll definitely be fired up coming into this one. They want it.
Absolutely. Well, Helen Terra receiving underneath, of course, been living in Vienna for quite some time. A really useful player to have alongside. But this is nice initial flow from Vienna. Shot going into the deep space. There's a big amount of pressure underneath it, but takes a way too aggressive line. And the throw from Veronika Paschinger will come good.
Yeah, we heard from Tequila Boom Boom before the game that their long shots were really working out for them yesterday, and they were really happy with their receptions. They felt like they were sort of the stronger players underneath those discs, reading them well and coming down with them. But, you know, Vienna Box are also no slouch when it comes to putting it deep. You see here, the movement was really nice. They took their time, reset, and you could see that cut sort of as it developed, getting that lateral separation and just making sure to really go hard, go deep. There's sort of a backup position coming in there, and really well read. So Tequila Boom Boom backing their long game. Vienna clearly demonstrating that they're happy to put it themselves. I think it's going to be a really good matchup.
Well, Katharine Scheidel on the back end of that, you can really see the aggressive line being taken by Claire Beanie. Of course, there's a couple of the under-20s athletes for the Italian nation on this Tequila Boom Boom side, a really long-standing program. And I have to say, Bettina Schneidel is unfortunately unable to be playing for Box Day, one of their long-standing athletes. And she was saying if Barbie can still take the field, then there's hope for all of us. Well, of course, the elder athletes of Tequila Boom Boom. We've got a mother and daughter out on the field, but that's going to be a deep shot into the paws, potentially, of Nicole Lafayette. But there's going to be a discussion briefly, but she retracts it. Great defense.
Yeah, it looked like they both sort of reached for the disc at the same time, but if you don't have control, and it didn't seem there was physical contact, so no call can be made there.
Well, double cutting, causing a bit of traffic, and an early turnover for Tequila Boom Boom. So Box now, lovely slinky high release backhand from Meister. Now squeezing in the far side. These high releases, this time coming astray. Meister trying to connect with the throw from Stephanie Krivda. Lafiata now underneath. One of the two big, tall Italian athletes we're used to seeing, of course. Carmen Lagala as well, a Tequila Boom Boom player with that iconic dinosaur hat.
Pick called, just quickly resolving how long ago that call happened and where they need to reset to.
So a missed opportunity for a defensive break, but that is going to be immediately squandered, pretty much just pressured out that far sideline. So box with the disc back. Meister with that high release again, but it's going to be picked off by the hands of Gianna Arcangeli. Arcangeli distributing forward. Oh, that one's directly into the floor, though. Not the thing that Grozzi wanted to execute. So another opportunity here. Rottensteiner getting us going. Roy. Back into the hands of Silla Rottensteiler. Oh, that's a beautiful lead throw, but there's no layout to save it. Emilia Artusio unable to connect. So turnover central in this second point. You see that, a nice long shot of Barbara Bondi. Got plenty of years of excellent experience and a high Frisbee IQ for sure. Around leader, lots of air underneath it. Lafiata trying to come in for the rescue. There's going to be a discussion though between Grozzi and Rottensteiner. Thoughts, Rachel?
Just trying to reflect. We'll see here on the replay again. That disc comes up. She goes high for it. I think that was over the head of number 24. I'm not sure that they Grossi had a good position on that, and it seemed like they were sort of both running in straight lines. So the disc goes over her head, and perhaps she's the one who's sort of leaning back a little bit to try and get there. I'm not sure. It's a close call. It's hard to say what contact was felt on the field, but from this perspective, I suppose she does go up early and maybe kind of hold that early space, but doesn't seem to be a significant amount of contact, and that's the resolution they reach on the field. Foul call retracted. That one will stand as another turnover in this certainly very turnover-laden second point.
Indeed, it was a whistle clean hold for Box with that lovely deep shot to get us underway, but Rottensteiner is going to move it forward, and that's another big backhand. Boom goes the dynamite, but not for Tequila. It's for Box. 2-0.
Yeah, a little bit of scrappiness in that point. We saw some sort of turnovers, quick turnovers, getting it, giving it immediately back. But both the sort of the previous attempt on the end zone and that last shot are really demonstrating what Box are setting out to do here. They make that cut nice and early. They get that deep separation. And now we've seen both their scores be on these really nice leading past deep shots that sort of aren't really hucks, but just really well sit out into space, covering enough ground to get all the way in for the score, but sitting nicely around in front of the player who's done that extra work, who's got that separation from their defender and is ready to go. So far Box kind of demonstrating what their game plan is, I think, in these early stages. Tequila Boom Boom working hard to get the turns, but just not really kind of connecting. That sort of scrappier post-turn moment where there are a lot of people out of place just seem to be kind of punishing them a bit. And perhaps they just need to sort of refocus their minds, get their morning brains in gear, and play the way we know they want to play. They've mentioned their long game, and it seems at the moment it's the short game that's kind of disrupting and kind of upsetting their flow.
Well, clockwork timing for Box paying off. Let's see if Tequila Boom Boom can respond. Lagala on the far side. Asked her if she has a couple of iterations of that dino cap, but that's not the throw she intended. Gruzzi goes for the bend, but doesn't make the big save. My memory serves me. I know she played for that under-20 side, the gold medalists, of course, at EUCF a couple of weeks ago in Padova. Pretty sure Lucrezia Grossi had an amazing game. That's Helen Terra underneath, connecting with Kramer. Still count starting to rise though, with the big wingspan of Lafiata. Seiler puts one up to Terra. And that's an easy pop into the end zone for Kramer. Same couple of connections working out well, and that is another extremely fast conversion for Box, 3-0.
Really appreciated Kramer's cutting in that point. We saw the sort of her cutting deep, pulling two defenders away and leaving that underspace really nice and open for her teammate Tara to cut into. And then she sort of sees what's happening, sees that the defense is trying to recover, and instead of trying to continue to fight for that deep space, takes that underspace, comes in, gets a big gainer, and really kind of opens that point up. And we see there cutting for the score as well. Really great cutting and really great field awareness.
Well, we've got a break here on the timeout. We're going to have a break in the booth too. Don't go anywhere, the folks. Can Tequila Boom Boom bring this back?
We live in a world where everything can be referenced online. Imagine if the greatest moments in our sport were never filmed. Eurodisc continues to do what it takes to make free-to-watch live streams a reality. Let's leave nothing to the imagination. We'll consume the action live, and we'll support those that help to make it happen. If it wasn't streamed, it didn't happen. Eurodisc.
What a grab! Oh my God! Somehow they do it! Come on, Brad!
There are so many reasons to outfit your team in Force beyond just looking the part of a champion. Force offers professional design services with their dedicated graphics team. All apparel is produced in France. Force works with a local labour team and their raw materials are sourced in Europe. Force insists on transparency with no hidden fees and international express shipping. Look the part and play the part with Force Sportswear.
It's 3-0 here in this pre-quarter-final game. Tequila Boom Boom putting it deep, sitting out in front. Can they receive it? Yes, that is their score. That's their first point on the board of this game. They talked about wanting to make sure they were really maximizing their long game, as we saw from them yesterday, and that's the first time we've seen that come together for them in this game. Carmen Lagala putting that absolute dime out right in front. We see here that swing over to the sideline, looking deep, finds that cut developing and just rifles that one into the end zone. Comfortably received. She had to take it high, she had to attack it, but Biscayla, Biscayla, excuse me. It's also the first game for us, doing an excellent job of attacking that one. And they said that they really back their receivers in that deep space, and a demonstration there of why that would be the case.
Well, just 19 years of age, Marilina Biscayla, of course, got the representation back at the World Joint Juniors last season. And I think another one of these lovely young youth athletes winning the gold medal. Of course, if you haven't watched the finals from the under-20s division, the European Youth Ultimate Championships, just gone. A, where have you been? B, they're free to watch. And C, I recommend doing so because those games absolutely banged. As we see ULTI.TV's own Christina Obermeier getting the offense started for Box. Pashinger on the far sideline, centering back to Obermeier. Nice pop to Wolfsteiner. Brandl now. Little fist pump after completing a relatively normal pass. Pashinger against the Tequila Boom Boom zone. Kama. Back to Obermeier. Happy to take on a high pass tally. And this is now where the zone starts to hold its own. It's relatively passive, a flat front set. Box getting tempted into just throwing a high number of lateral passes rather than trying to push through too much with their legs. That one gains a couple of inches, but not really anything to speak of. High release from Obermeier. Just flat the way through. High stall count. Finds the release. Obermeier makes a good central handler. She's pretty much able to throw fully ambidextrously at this point. Something you normally see from male matching athletes, but there are plenty of females that can do it too. But that's a lovely find in the center to Scheidel. Now to Terra, ball back to Scheidel. That nearly didn't quite come off. Flow going now. A transition to match coverage, and that one just put out in front. Easy pickings.
Really patient and calm offense from Box. That sort of zone from Tequila Boom Boom designed to frustrate. You know, they're not necessarily looking for active blocks. We saw the kind of the cup and the handler marks getting a little bit more active as they hit about midfield, but otherwise it's really just designed to contain, force Box to take pass after pass after pass, not finding that downfield, those downfield options. They're swinging, occasionally they're gaining yards, occasionally they're losing yards, but really the idea is that they have to keep passing and ultimately trusting that either they're going to get frustrated and try and force it, or they're going to make a mistake. But Box really showing class there in how calm and measured they were working it in.
There was nearly a turnover when that disc sort of caught Katharina Scheidel a little bit by surprise, coming back to kind of the give-go action with Terra. But yeah, it's a high pass tally, but I think when you've taken a 3-0 lead, you have all of the confidence in the world. I admire the ability to see something a little bit different going on in terms of, you know, just changing things up, trying to, you know, sneak one past. But yeah, a good way to slow down Box, but not prevent them from getting the goal. So 4-1, Vienna over Rimini. Lovely one to Grozzi. La Fiata. That one got a little bit of juice on it, but well kept by Albani. Then that high release backhand over the shoulder. Bondi. Arcangeli. This is really solid flow on the resets. Not, again, similar to the zone offense of Box, not making too many gainers, but that's a good little run through now, and Grozzi puts an absolutely sensational flick up. However, Sofia Albani not able to connect with it in the deep space.
That looked like that was going to come off nicely. There was a lot of separation deep. Really was sort of an open field, and just seemed to be a question of angles, maybe.
I think she just gave up a little bit on it, thought it had more pace than it did. That's definitely within the abilities of Sofia Albani to run down. I'm a little bit scandalised that that one didn't come off, but that's just me. So Box with another break opportunity here. Their O-line hasn't turned over yet. Their D-line a fair few though. The screech from the sideline of trying to communicate that it's a forced middle. Nice put through the middle to Nunaus. Not too many athletes attacking the deep space though at the moment. There it goes though. You see Roy sort of trotting off. Of course, has already done some damage in the deep space. Nice big underneath. Artuzio pops back. Quickly replaced Dinspear. Still count starting to rise, but a marking infraction is called. A foul, bit of a discussion.
Yeah, it's a tight mark, but of course she does have to leave space and move. The player has to be able to pivot, and they should be a disc width apart at that time. And if you're not able to pivot without sort of feeling contact from the other player. You can't move the disc through. They're definitely closer than that disc space. I think the call here is fairly fair.
Well, it's coming in on 4, so I presume it's a thing of Bundy having a discussion saying that maybe the player should have called the disc space first before sort of boshing into her. That's my best guess, but they will play on Roy now on the far sideline. Another break opportunity here for Box to advance into the top 8 here in this hotly contested women's division. High release. All over the shop. The wind direction having changed since the warm-up. Oh, nearly sneaking the disc away, but a great hold onto it from Emilia Artusio. But my oh my, Sofia Albani remembered how fast she is and nearly came in for the clutch D.
Yeah, massive pressure from Sofia Albani. Looking a bit frustrated to have not come down with that one. It was a great grab to secure that under not a small amount of pressure. Again, that high toss, and then a sort of sweeping. I think that one was supposed to sit out a little bit deeper, a little bit more sort of in the path, rather than having to make the receiver stop, turn, and receive it with the defender streaking in. But nonetheless, got the job done.
Well, I'm unsurprised to see these high releases. I misremembered. It has been a right to left breeze all of today. It was yesterday that we saw the opposite wind direction here on pitch 11, our stadium field for you. But the high release with the wind behind you, it gives it that extra bit of loft, which means that, because generally speaking, when you're shooting downwind, that breeze is going to push the disc physically downwards into the floor. So I love the use of the high release, especially those sort of inside backhand channels over the shoulder of the mark. It's very effective. So at long last, a clean break for Box after some turnover heavy points towards the beginning of the game. But boom, boom, need to find some magic here. Bironi pops back to Arcangeli. Now Grozzi. Bisceglia. Nice low snatch for Martinini. High pop, but all good and fine. Ascari. Challenges that inside to move that mark of Helen Terra around. Oh, Lagala is streaking towards the end zone, but that's not the throw to do it. A little bit too much tilt on it. There was excellent separation. Lagala was available, but the throw just corkscrews out.
You could absolutely see that progressing. You could see that cut being set up. You could see they want to hit that space, but from the release, you could tell that was not going to be it. That was not going to be the one. Always going to fade to that outside sideline, and now Box back with the disc, looking to extend their lead.
Pashinga rips a nice gainer to the far sideline. Big backhands across the board, and that's going to boom into the end zone. Maya puts one up, and Terra's underneath it in plenty of acreage, all alone. Sailor. Steinhauser. Oh, Bosch pops one in front. Amina Sailor pops back. Pashinga passes it through, but that is snaffled by the defenders. A big pack of them almost surrounding that open side. Now Lagala just sits on the heel, chill things out a little bit. Someone that's very difficult to phase, of course, a gold medalist herself this year from the beach. Oh, well, that's a great effort from Sailor to try and take the disc away. It's a big shot this time, a lot better, but unfortunately just into the hands of the waiting Pashinga. But an immediate first turnover, great effort to try and redeem it, but Maya is going to come up a little bit short there. A sort of throw you might see a foul call on because of how short it was, but all whistle clean enough. Another high pop to Ascari. Looking for options. Pironi finds one. The throw and go. Oh, that's a beautiful bit of action, but it's going to be overshot. That's such a sad one. Bisceglia had really opened up that front cone so gorgeously. The throw and go with the flick, really difficult to execute that kind of action.
Yeah, Tequila Boom just seem to be pushing it that little bit too hard. Their connections maybe aren't as strong as they were at the end of yesterday. It's just needing to take the foot off the gas and be that touch more conservative, just to make sure that they're all on the same page as they try and execute some of this quick movement and sort of aggressive play.
And that one is going to just flub away from the hands. Immediate pickup for Bisceglia. Swings over. Martinini. Bisceglia going for a bit of point and shoot. Trying to do the same damage she did before, but not quite the same spacing. That's going to race to the back corner, though, and some fancy footwork from Naida Pironi is going to give Tequila Boom Boom their second goal of the game. They trail by 3 breaks, but tell you one thing about youth athletes, it's that they can do some hairy, scary stuff and keep the game really interesting, but you just got to keep punching in these offensive holds.
Yeah, Box have worked hard to get themselves this points buffer, but I would say you just really can't take anything for granted. It really feels like Tequila Boom Boom haven't got into the game yet. You know, this is just feels like the start of it. And as you say, this is a young team. They've got a lot of energy. They've got a lot of sort of different levels they can bring, and they can kind of get themselves more worked into it as we go through. Vienna Box going to have to work really hard and make sure they're keeping their focus. We've seen really great clean work from their O-line. D-line getting turns, but often just giving them straight back and maybe being a little bit unfocused, particularly immediately after the turn. We saw there a single pass, and that's back on the floor, and that's back in the hands of Tequila Boom Boom. So if they want to keep this lead that they've worked so hard to achieve, I think they're not just going to have to sort of keep their focus, but they're going to have to step it up, because you know that Tequila Boom Boom are going to work their absolute best to try and close this gap and get themselves back into this game.
Well, I'm just looking back at the Italian, that youth gold medal winning roster, and there have to be at least a full line of those under 20 athletes on this Tequila Boom Boom side, so they definitely have the firepower to push themselves forward, as you say, Rachel, and come back into this game looking pretty dynamite. But at the moment, Box have done all the work. Seen them in seasons past with all the personnel, but none of the success. Certainly that Worlds campaign last season, where they took a loss to the Pangolins of Singapore on the live stream, was a tricky one. But some of the youth players coming through strong here. Lenny Meister, those trackies, in fact, plenty of the players actually with full leg coverage in this breezy conditions this morning. But the zone coming out again to try and cause a bit of a miscommunication maybe. Oh, Steiner puts one through, but that is the casual left hand. Strider, sorry, unfortunately able to collect on the far sideline.
Yeah, that one was right on the line. In fact, I think she might have had to sort of reach out to try and keep that one in bounds. That's going to be, I think, the first turn for this Box O-line. Definitely seeming a lot more under pressure from the zone at this point than we saw in the previous iteration.
Yeah, I think they're just a little bit tighter with the cup, trying to pressure things more, not really allowing those lateral swings with the same level of comfort as the last iteration, with Lagala, disc in hand, seeking an option. Goes for the big backhand around release to Raffiata, possibly a bit of a power line going on. That's a big old shot, hospital pass, and it is exceptionally well defended.
Defense getting position early there and making sure to keep holding, keep boxing. boxing out.
Boxing. Boxing.
Yeah.
So many boxes, so little time. Stephanie Krivda with the block. The box block. So a slower turnover allows the zone to reset. Nice bit of pop through from Meister. Just taking these little short fielders. That's a nice bit of positioning. But they don't manage to make the jailbreak all the way through. Might do now, though. A call from the sidelines. We've transitioned into match coverage. Oh, that's a great bit of action. Trying to get the disc away. Ascari throwing herself around. And again, those inside over-the-shoulder backhands really paying some dividends. Might see a flip in the force at some point to respond to them. Roy, though, with the assist, collecting. It's Leni Meister, who was almost every other pass in that point, it felt like.
really enjoying this box offense. The handler set, both times we've seen them come out against that zone, have worked so well there, and they manage that transition really well. That can be such a tricky time when the defense goes from a zone look back into person, but they just didn't let it phase them at all, kept moving as they wanted to, kept the disc moving between them, and eventually worked it in. Really solid, just to kind of keep what definitely looked like a stronger zone, a high pressure defense, as you say, a much more active cup, much more active pressure on the disc and on the thrower. But that time, just again finding their rhythm with it after starting out a little bit more intimidated perhaps, and then as the point wore on, just able to find those gaps and really start striking up in the middle. And a lot of those were very, very tight passes. The defense was there, they were under pressure, and as they switched to person, we could see very, very, very close person marking, and yet Box still kind of know the right way to just put it just in front, get their body in, and make sure they secure it with no defensive bid able to be made.
You saw there with the clipboard for Box, Bettina Schnedel, who, as we already mentioned, is recovering from another bout of everyone's favourite mega illness, COVID. But obviously lovely to see her coming back from that without too many issues. But of course, looking after her body, as unfortunately Tequila Boom Boom don't look after the disc. That one slips out of the hands of Gianna Arcangeli and into the paws of Maria Maya at this present moment. They move it across, but that is a flub, and the disc will be put up by Albani into Bondi. That one though she throws pretty much straight into the rubber crumb, and Maya will pick us back up. Around to Pashinger, who takes a timeout, while Pashinger's been throwing all the goals for this Box side, having a really fantastic tournament coming into this one. 9 assists and 3 goals. Of course, the stats board only tell part of the story, and we'll have to find out how the story of this game will continue. Box very close to taking half here, though, a lead of 6-2 over Tequila Boom Boom.
We are a group of ultimate players, coaches and video enthusiasts. We've worked with the major federations and the greatest events.
We're on a mission to make Ultimate huge. We want our videos and live streams to be free to watch.
We want to make stories that not only reach you,
but also reach people outside the Ultimate community.
Like and subscribe, ULTI.TV, the best in the world.
Become a member and
fund
fund
our work to cover more events in the future and to bring more stories and live coverage to the eyes of the Ultimate world and beyond.
Well, at the moment it is Vienna Box currently large and in charge here in the women's pre-quarter final matchup. Division that's flush with talent, and Veronica Pashinger is about to pick the disc up, one of the talents for this Box Vienna side. Of course, they qualified through the East and North joint division, did Box. There was just that one spot that wouldn't be taken. I think 5 teams turning up and 4 spots available, or 6 and 5. But Tequila Boom Boom, having had just the one victory over Bristol, falling to Heidi's and East Block. Oh no, two victories. They beat Heidi's Frauen this earlier on in the tournament. But Box, of course, taking that shock victory against Shout, fellow Italian. So maybe they've got a taste for Italian. That's a hot pressure on the disc, though. Kramer coming through under coverage from Bisceglia. Now nice movement through. Brandl. High one for Terra, but easy enough because Terra is an athlete that's being given plenty of room in the underspace. She's so dynamic upfield. Pick
called? Just a quick chat about how and when that comes back in. That was indicated as coming in on 6. That's a quick reset.
Tara anchoring, distributing high, and you can see the face on Lafayette, the expression from the body language. Where was my support? Where was my communication? I had no idea that one was coming, because otherwise I might have made a play, but Tara distributing. Nice high release. Again, these high release backhands over the shoulder, Doug, are really just causing so much pain for the Italians. I'm surprised they haven't switched the force. Although, to be fair, that is an inside dad backhand off a slightly loose force.
Yeah, tricky one. I mean, you're right. The kind of the break throws essentially are really punishing. And whether it's however it's released, whether it's inside or a little dad style backhand, they're getting the job done in great form. It is really challenging, and I think what we sort of have previously associated break throws with is, you know, getting really far around your mark and putting in a big effort. You know, able to execute, but sometimes harder to do so. But these quick inside breaks, or again in this case a dad backhand, released with such precision, are really punishing, because it really means that they're just not able to recover in time, and it is released so quickly and so fluidly. It can be very hard to stop without changing your systems, as you say, Hanny, like adapting your force, positioning yourself differently with the focus of stopping those shots from coming out.
I want to give a little bit of a shout out as well. So we talked about the fact that Helen Terra is in Estonia. Well, didn't actually say she's currently living in Vienna, but she is in Estonia from Tartu. And big shout out to Tartu Turbulence, who featured in your favourite game of yesterday.
Yeah, they had an absolute dynamite game against Monkey Grenoble on the live stream over on Field 1. Make sure you go and check it out if you haven't already. Really exciting game, and yeah, a pleasure to watch and commentate on.
Well, big shout out to all the folks back in Tartu. Estonia, a wonderful place to play some Frisbee. And they have Terra coaching back there. So if you want to drop in, oh, that's a hand block and a half. Great denial from Artusio. And it's going to be Rottensteiner to get us going, working with Meister. This to take half in extremely dominant fashion. Meister high dish into Roy. Just moving the disc with so much flow and ease. That one's a little bit undercooked though. Nearly swings around and makes the collection for Roy, but just bobbles off of her fingertips. And now Klotzi a little bit lost for options. Takes the underneath, but it's snatched away by Meister. Left on a little bit of an island, just pops it out to Roy and exploits the break side immediately, and that is quite the performance for Box. They take half 8-2, and the body language of the Italians says it all.
Yeah, definitely. This is not the way they intended to start the game. Box have just been so dominant, particularly on defense, picking up those ones. We see that hand block there again. It's almost like Box heard what we were saying about adapting the force. That really seemed to be positioned to stop those high release sort of inside breaks. That was a much flatter force and immediately rewarded with a hand block. We see Meister there getting that run through D. It was so close to it being a Callahan, but just not quite. Walks it back, and then again just finds those easy resets. Quick dish to quick dish, and that's the score. Box taking half in pretty emphatic fashion.
Indeed. Well, we have seen a couple of opportunities for Tequila Boom Boom to try and get this one. Well, I say a couple. In fact, they've only had one turnover for the O-line for Box, because, of course, they've only come out on offense 3 times in the first half. Tequila Boom Boom, though, will receive the disc to start the second innings here on the live stream here at the European Ultimate Championship Finals 2023. But can they turn things in their favour for this Rimini side? We'll find out in a couple of moments.
Wait. Isn't this for the other apparel? We've got like new stuff, right? Bring it, bring it in.
Feast your eyes on the new fan version of our iconic ULTI.TV sweatshirts. Great fan gear available for you. Check out our new range of colors and insist on staying warm and looking fresh. Shipping is available after EUCF. Get your fan gear and be one of us.
We are Hive Ultimate, a group of players and coaches from all over the world working together to progress the next generation of Ultimate strategy. We've helped top teams win world championships and new teams introduce the sport in a fun and inclusive way. Search for Hive Ultimate on YouTube to learn more about our cutting-edge strategies and to see analysis of world-class teams. To find out what Hive can do for your team, head over to our Patreon page where you can gain access to our exclusive drills and session plans and to join our worldwide community of coaches. Get ahead of the curve with Hive Ultimate.
Welcome back. Second half about to begin here at the European Ultimate Championship Finals 2023. Box currently way out in front of Tequila Boom Boom.
Yeah, pretty emphatic first half. We saw no breaks from Tequila Boom Boom, 5 breaks from Box, which put them in such a powerful position coming out of half. Clean holds though, only 1 clean hold for Tequila Boom Boom, which is something they're really going to need to address in this second half.
Well, they do have the metal to do it. Bondi puts one up in front of Ascari. Pick is going to give us a brief moment of pause.
Bit of a discussion, just clarifying. When it comes back, I think that's indicated it's back in on 2. 2, yeah, and the disc is in. Some switching from the Box defense, immediately effective. That was very, very smart defense.
Well, another unforced error really compared to what we're used to seeing. Fortune really is favouring the Viennese athletes here. Roy setting off to the deep space, gets a little bit of a switch going from the defenders. Gala knowing that conceding a quick deep pass here, but it's going to be a high stall chuck it in hope that sails over the fingertips of Johanna Roy, the 20-year-old from Kloster Nürnberg. Or Kloster Neuburg maybe, but a Mosquitoes athlete coming across and joining the fold here. Of course, Mosquitoes had a really brilliant elite invite early season, but have come off the boil a little bit. And a youth athlete herself. But Bondi pops one out in front. There's plenty of momentum, but no one striking deep to connect with it. Now back with Ascari. Pops through to Bisceglia. Running a bit of a youth athlete line here. Martinini, another of the captains, but it's a stone cold drop for Marilina Bisceglia. The fake from Rottensteiner actually sells the sideline they call up. Oh, nearly throws literally through the head. Meister with a layout to try and redeem possession, but that nearly caught the off defender.
Yeah, that was, you know, if you have to throw around someone's head to get the disc where you want it to go, probably isn't the safest option to be taking on in that moment. A foul, or I think travel called, the sideline seemed to be indicating. Great bid to try and save what was probably a needlessly aggressive shot on what was essentially just a swing.
Well, Bondi trying to squeeze one through. Oh, that one's just going to go a little bit low. Has to be said that Barbara Bondi is not having her best day at the office in terms of execution of these passes. That's, in my mind, maybe the 3rd pass that's just been a little bit undercooked. Needs to turn up the gas under that arm. Steiner passes forward to Roy. Lovely leader, but it's smacked away. Great heads-up defense from Marilina Bisceglia. Pops through to Bondi. And off they go. Ascari trying to stretch the field. Everyone looking a little bit flat-footed. La Gala now. Great person coverage, but throws the break in. Oh, that's lovely flow up this near sideline. And getting down and dirty in the rubber crumb is Ascari to try and save. Bondi now. Gets a little bit of a collata by Ninos, but all fine. Ascari shrugging, saying, where are you all? Martinini now. Popping through, casual one-handed grab for Bichelia, and then throws at long last the assist through, and that will be the hold out of the blocks for Tequila Boom Boom. Not clean, but that'll do.
Yeah, not clean by any means, but got the job done. I'm trying to put my finger on what it is within the Tequila Boom Boom offense that just looks challenging at the moment. And it feels like the Italian style of play that we've seen from various Italian teams is often that they're really comfortable attacking in small spaces, kind of really attacking that central zone and getting those dishes out. At the moment, it feels like Tequila Boom Boom are sort of playing quite small. They're trying to make those sort of movements and then look for a deep strike, but it's just not coming together, and I don't know if it's their angle of attack. I think there is an element of the box defense putting pressure on, but it also does feel like this is something that's perhaps a bit more within Tequila Boom Boom's control in terms of how they choose to set up. And at the moment, the angles just seem slightly off. They're really asking a lot in quite small spaces of their teammates, and that's perhaps why we've seen so many throwaways and miscues in quite sort of small under movements.
I think they really are just having an off day in general, Tequila Boom Boom. This is not what we're used to seeing them kind of execute at their level. Certainly, this isn't going to be enough to see them advance through, because, of course, the winner of this game will go into that top bracket, facing off against the very best in Europe.
It does still feel like they can make those adjustments, and if they manage to get a little bit tighter on these handlers, which I think they've managed to do, put more pressure on in the last few points, then the narrative of this game could change.
Well, it's more or less the same full 7 that they had the opening point that they're pulling out on defense. So some shortening of the lines, some power action from the clipboard. Now trying to really push box, as you see. Really solid work. Moving out the undercutting, and the run-through block from Ariana Ascari. Possibilities. Gruzzi has Lagala behind. Looking for the give goes. This flat lateral cut straight away. Good switch from box. Lagala now picking up the mark of Romina Seiler. Not someone I enjoy being matched up with, because she's a really fantastic athlete. Well, you loved it, but you also hated Martinini and Ascari now. Ascari shooting, having got the run through block, and that's an easy one to be collected. Brillini with the goal, and that is so much better execution of the throw.
Yeah, absolutely. It really felt like that point had a different energy about it. The team really seemed fired up. That run-through block being such a kind of a galvanizing moment perhaps for that line, able to get that block. It just seemed like perhaps they were a little bit slow box to clear out the handler space and start initiating those movements. So that was a slightly more tentative cut coming back, and that was so well read by the defense to be able to position themselves. You see that perhaps just taking a foot off the gas just a little bit, but of course defense don't need to do that. They don't need to secure the catch, they just need to get the block, and then just worked it really well round and ultimately moved the disc until they found that separation and found that slightly deeper shot that we know that they're always looking for.
You know what, Doug? I'm going to have to do a massive self-correction of myself, because the Italian under-20s women's team, they did medal, they were in the final, but I know it's going to spoil the result, because I have recommended folks watch that game. They were silver medalists. It was the French women that actually won that game. However, I always get the vibe that the Italians won it because Gruzzi got a layout Callahan.
Well, yeah. Depends on how you score these things, you know? So maybe formal winners on one side, but yeah,
well,
layout Callahans get you extra points.
They're all winners. They're all really winners. I mean, it was a sensational final. I mean, even with the result, knowing which way it goes, it's still worthwhile watching, because some of the level of the play really was exceptional. But certainly we have another power line coming out. I think we've got both La Gala and La Fiata. I think they're probably going to pay every single point in this second half. We'll have to see if they come off really much at all, but they have definitely got the athletic training, but completely spoiled coverage. Nobody anywhere near Gruna, and that is just going to go straight into Johanna Roy. You can see Rimini looks so confused.
Yeah.
I have to say there's a little bit of Briolini is unhappy with that result.
That's frustration, definitely, but I mean, a very smart play from Box. They set that up really well to kind of exploit the potential lack of focus on the deep space earlier on in the point. But that was really, I think, a really important move from Box there to come out firing for that point. That was the first break in the previous point for Tequila Boom Boom. That's the first time they've managed to get the D and convert, and that was a real kind of energy shift for them. So to come out so sort of brutally and quickly and ruthlessly score the next point is a very effective way to ensure that Tequila Boom Boom don't get too much wind in their sails.
Yeah, I think that might have been a zone point, you know. So maybe that was just the thing of, you know, a bit of lack of communication. I mean, neither team has a particularly short roster here. So very much both can afford to have a full sideline. But I think maybe some of the players that have now maybe been given signal that they're not physically going to be on the pitch much in the second half, which there's nothing wrong with doing that at championship finals event in a knockout stage. Certainly, you know, if Tequila Boom Boom don't make this, they'll be using their full roster in the games to come. Well, to be fair, regardless of the outcome of this game, they will have to use all of the personnel available to them. But you can see the kind of clustering together on the sidelines. The body language does not look great, but the players on the field trying to fight it out here to keep this game within reach. Grozzi opens one out. That's a beautiful shot. De La Gala catches it with ease. Height mismatch and plenty of speed as well. La Fiata and La Gala over the shoulder of Lantera, and a little toss spike from La Gala to celebrate a very quick hold, and that is so important. The pace they're going to need to just keep punching those in as the second half develops.
Yeah, a bit of a decisive answer from their O-line in response. It feels like this is a tussle for momentum and for kind of purchase in the game. We've seen comebacks from bigger margins. This is still not out of the question by any measure, by any stretch of the imagination. And Tequila Boom Boom working hard to really kind of punch in those points. Now they just need to make sure that their D-line can get the block and get the turn. We've seen them do it the first time, to get the block and then get the score.
Well, I think that well, it's more, I'm smiling at Doug in our booth. Doug is what we call Rachel Douglas because, you know, it's a great nickname. But just before I confuse any of you, who's Doug? So I think I was smiling at you, Rachel, because of the fact that you've said the phrase D-line, and I mean, we've not seen La Fiata or La Gala come off the pitch at all in this second half so far. I mean, this is just the third point of the second half even. No. Yeah. Hold on, let me go. No, it's the 5th point of the second half. Oh, goodness gracious me. We're missing one of our parts of our stats board, which tells us when the half is. So I just had to do some quick mathematics in my head. So, yeah, I think it's that case of, it's basically now, how long can the top line of this Rimini side continue the charge? How long can they stay on the field and keep up the pace? Because Box, I think a lot of their players are having a really good day at the office this morning. They've come out, they are indeed connecting with their early morning beverage of choice. Whether you're a juice or a caffeine kind of person, but they're melt to match coverage now. Inside dish, all the way through to Nienaus. Just hanging on for Meister. Lashes one all the way across, but that one is going to bobble out of the hands of Stephanie Krivda. Second turnover for her this game, and that's Gardi. That's the quick counter-attack we're used to seeing from Italian sides. That is more like it, folks. We don't care who wins, but a tight game. Yes, please.
Yeah, just I don't know what that was. A moment of lack of focus from Krivda. Like, it just seemed like that was sort of in her hands and perhaps already thinking about the next pass. It can be hard when you've got a big lead to keep your focus and keep your attention, but it's so critical. This is not the kind of game where you can give them an inch, because if they manage to make these games like we just saw again, getting these breaks on the board, that's how they're going to work their way back into this game. And momentum and kind of mentality is such a big part of that. Letting them get a kind of a comeback train going is something Box have already sort of tried to contain and put a hold on, but Tequila Boom Boom are going to keep trying.
They will indeed. They're taking a timeout here Perhaps Box trying to just resettle the ship, but we will take a brief break here as well in the booth. Don't go anywhere though. The comeback, is it on? Let's find out.
Wait, no, wait. Isn't this for the other apparel? We've got like new stuff, right? Bring it, no, bring it in. Feast your eyes on the new fan version of our iconic ULTI.TV sweatshirts. Great fan gear available for you. Check out our new range of colors and insist on staying warm and looking fresh. Shipping is available after EUCF. Get your fan gear and be one of us.
Always on the move? You can keep up to date with ULTI.TV on all of our social media channels. Like, follow, subscribe, share us with a friend, or send us a message just to say hey. Thank you for supporting us in our mission to grow Ultimate everywhere.
Excellent fielding, well, not fielding, chase down of a solid pull form from Tequila Boom Boom. They are looking to try and get themselves back in this game. Massive pressure, big old contact there and an accepted foul. Asia Martinini coming in, peeling off of her matchup of Helen Terra and giving a big old bosh to Meneli Brandl, but thankfully everybody fine. Not intended. Martinini tapping us back in as the rest of the pack go through. Wolfsteiner looking for an option. We've got Tokai on Tokai cleats. That one happy to take the negative yards. Pashinger through to Maya. Maya opens up that big backhand. Lafiata's got eyes underneath it. It's 14 on 14 and it's Tequila Boom Boom. Lafiata bests Melanie Brandl.
Lafiata forcing Brandl to go in early there. Positioned really well. It seemed like such a great shot, but it sat for that moment. That deep separation kind of dwindled to nothing very quickly. And that was really well positioned for the defense. Forcing the offense to attack, but ultimately making it too early, and that sails right over both of their heads.
Well, another opportunity here. The difference in the stats for the second half, of course, the biggest thing is actual turns generated on the O-line of Vienna. Box, of course, we already said, had that universe point shocker, the thriller against BFD. Shout Ascari racing down that sideline, throws for the goal, and there's a layout grab. Giulia Melli picks up the score for Tequila Boom Boom, and they are coming back at you. Box had 5 breaks in the first half, and that's 3 for Tequila Boom Boom.
Yeah, 2 in a row. We've spoken about momentum. It's something that Box are really going to have to work hard to try and stop the energy from this Tequila Boom Boom side. They are growing, and it's been flat so far for them this game. And we've mentioned that from Vienna's side, they really don't want to see what Tequila Boom Boom look like when they're fired up and they're firing on all cylinders. So they really need to make sure that they are tightening up. And although that did seem like they're kind of put into the end zone for Box in that last point, looked like it was a great throw, the margins just weren't big enough. They need to make sure that if they're going to put those up, there is a significant amount of separation, because Tequila Boom Boom defense is hungry.
They really are, and also I think it's just the change of attitude, that change of confidence. Suddenly, you know, your opponent who looked pretty shut out, if you were on the Box sideline in the first half, Tequila Boom Boom just looked gone. You know, the body language was very negative, the facial expressions were also quite negative, but they're starting to now smile, enjoy, find their flow, find their move. And when it's that kind of person that you're facing up against in intense match coverage on a slightly 50-50 disc, it's a very different story. But again, Lafiata and Legala staying on a slightly extended stoppage between those points, I have to say. You're going to see probably Tequila Boom Boom try and milk every moment between points that they can, but of course they're starting to run out of clock, just over half an hour left to try and punch in even more breaks. So the zone coming out again for Tequila Boom Boom with a, oh well, it's a zone with an assassination. Martinini taking the match up, and as the block generated, streaking through comes Lagala to pick it up, trying to pop it in straight away. Separation in the centre pocket, that's going to scoop it way too far though. There was a hesitation. Gianna Arcangeli was very open, but complete miscommunication and bad execution of that shot. You almost feel like Arcangeli should have just stood completely stone statue still, because she was in plenty of room.
I wonder if that's the issue though. I think that disc ended up being a bit more of an aggressive sort of leading disc to someone who wasn't already moving into that space. So just a little bit too trigger happy on the end zone, in that red zone. But Box now looking at this zone again, and it's definitely disrupting their flow.
Well, Terra in plenty of acreage, throw whatever you like, but the coverage downfield denying the options. Brottensteiner, nice easy swing across to Meister. Ooh, big old effort, but Artusio just popping back. That one's going to be way too far in front though, and again the opportunity for the Rimini side. This time it's Lafiata to pick up. Sends through to Cicchetti. Oh, that's got a lot of bosh under it, and it's going to be taken and spiked. Oh my lord. Sofia Albani in a pack of defenders picks the one up, and that is 9-8. Box only now leading by 1. That's 4 on the bounce and 4 breaks for Tequila Boom Boom in the second half. In fact, there's been 1 point scored by Box in the second half of this game.
To say the vibe has shifted would be a huge understatement. This feels like a different game from what we saw in the first half. Tequila Boom Boom are loud, they are excited, they've got that energy back. Box now looking a bit nervous, and that felt like a nervous offense. It felt a nervous approach to playing against that zone. The zone is really working to stifle the behind the disc area, the reset cutting. And as you said, if they're putting an assassin on a couple of the handlers, and that's really going to disrupt their movement. But they didn't seem fussed by it earlier in the game, and they managed to really work it through well. And it now feels like they're setting up quite far, and then the cutters are coming in really close behind the mark, and it's all just making it that little bit harder than it needs to be.
I just want to put one little fact out there. The scoring pair there, the assist from Cicchetti and the score from Albani, is a 16-year-old to a 17-year-old. We talked about the youth athletes for this Tequila Boom Boom side, but that is just staggering. Already coming out here and dominating at the senior division level at 16 and 17 years of age. It's bonkers.
Yeah,
big shout out to Bellatus Middle School for getting some of these athletes out into the game, and of course all of the Italian ultimate community that makes it so much fun to watch. And another zone as the wind starts to rise here, perhaps Mother Nature getting involved as well as the athletes, trying to give us a universe point finish for another Italian side. This time though, will it be Tequila Boom Boom getting a bit of revenge for the Bolognese athletes? Pashinger through to Roy. Maya, that got a little bit of feist on it, but a big wingspan for that number 19. That's a bit high though, and it's snatched away. Oh my goodness, I think that's the first time I've ever seen Helen Terra run through blocks in my entire watching of ultimate career. Martinini, it's the layout again for Merli. Pops back. Nice and easy does it, Pironi. Well, hammer for Lafiata, but miscued. No focus there. Didn't watch it all the way into the hands, thinking about the next pass, perhaps a little bit of overconfidence, but the full stretch now required for Box. Well, that got a little bit exciting, didn't it? The throw from Peroni couldn't have been better. Hit her right in the hands. But Tara now has the opportunity to try and hit Tabea Kramer in the deep space, but conservatism is required here to hold on to this 1-point lead. What a different feel we have now. Roy, high release. Pashinger, that's a little bit low, but excellent scoop underneath. Oh no, it's ground stripped. What a shame. Melanie Prandl had great attack on it, but that's going to require another one. Oh my goodness. Another ground strip, just bouncing everywhere. Julia Merli unable to connect, and an injury is going to be called. I think there's a little bit of bleeding after that that scoop and the ground strip for Melanie Prandl. She'll come off, and she will be replaced. That looks to be Rottensteiner coming on. Silla Rottensteiner, who's been having a wicked game so far. Just working the cog, and the Italians will take a replacement as well. Merli comes off, Albani coming on. So 2 sets of fresh legs introduced. Just over 25 minutes to go here. This game really starts to become intense. Pashinger going to be forcing to the reset. That one might be a little bit too far. Maya, though, with an absolute snatch. Rolls the body around. Oh, that's a big old Bosch. And an injury call from Maya. Another player having to come off the rubber crumb after making a hero save. Oh, a little bit hobbly, but coming off under our own speed. We'll get another look at that massive save.
Yeah, that's some quick reaction time, but that was a fairly significant amount of contact on that throw. That will go back on an uncontested foul call. Meister brought on as the injury sub, which feels like a useful player to have on the field with the disc in your hands.
Absolutely. A downgrade in terms of stature, but possibly a slight upgrade in terms of throwing points if you're playing some top trumps. Of course, those of you who don't know what that is, oh, look at that save underneath for Ninaus. And lovely execution of the throw into this slightly more feisty breeze. We'll talk about what top trumps is, though, in a bit. We'll focus on the action in front. Rottensteiner, stall count starting to rise. That little bit low for Roy, but all fine. Opens up the backhand. Lafiata with the height in the end zone, though, just about nearly makes it. Oh, that's Heartbreak Hotel for Katharina Scheidel. She ran that down fantastically. Lafiata swatting nothing but the air.
Again, the positioning, Lafiata not having an actual play on the disc, but just put enough threat on it that it meant that the offensive player slows down, thinks they might have to go up for it, but actually in the end just needed to keep running in a straight line. But really smart defensive effort to throw off the offensive movement and the offensive attack.
Well, another youngster picking us back up, Naida Pironi, the 16-year-old spirit captain from that under-20 side back in Padova, throws the inside shot. Lafiata now. Oh, that's such a beautiful slinky lead pass, giving and going, but stopped by the fact she has to go down for it. There's a foul call. You can see Katharina Scheidel really attacked that one. It was perhaps thrown into a little bit of coverage, or just a little bit loose.
Yeah, that's a shame that she wasn't able to kind of just control that body contact a bit more, because I think that was a great, she had great position to get that D. It's sort of a shame to give that right back, but they'll get the job done downfield. Yeah, no problem. Your teammates will help you out.
Yeah, I think that one for Scheidel, it's that because she goes with the right hand forward, actually, if she'd gone for the same positioning but come in with the right hand and swipe back, as I accidentally whack our commentary pavilion with my hand. It's cold. Ow, that hurt. We're doing the action replay here, a bit like when players on the field do action replays of what's happened. That's a sky ball, possibly. No, just about makes it over the pack to Roy. Terra. Oh, Kramer opening up the space, getting all the defenders scooping to that far side. Terra resetting nicely to Rottensteiner. This is a long old point. We've had 2 injury subs with fresh legs coming on. Back to Pashinger. Roy. Terra is going to just collect that one. It is the hold, and Box stemmed the flow of breaks. That was 4 unanswered from Tequila Boom Boom, so they stay 2 in front in the late stages. Of course, they started the game on offense, did Box. They held and got those spring of breaks in the first half, so it's the extra break required for Tequila Boom Boom to go and advance into the top 8 regardless. But that was a long old point and a big momentum changer.
Yeah, it feels like the script has flipped from the first half. We saw Tequila Boom Boom having to work so hard for their holds earlier in the game, and now here we have Box, whose offense was so clean, so decisive in the first half, and now having to really grind out just for a hold. That was such an important hold, though, as you said before. That was 4 points on the bounce for Tequila Boom Boom, 3 breaks, getting themselves very firmly back in this game. The scoreline is 10-8. We've got sort of few points left, but with Ds like that and plays as we've seen playing out, it's gonna continue to be a spicy one.
Indeed. Well, it was a lengthy point and a package of replay highlights. So many layouts. Unfortunately, so many ground strips. There were loads of moments in this match, or certainly in this point just gone, where the athletes were making absolutely insane grabs, but just that bounce off the rubber crumb, maybe the extra bit of elastic energy from below, causing them to lose possession. And I look at so many of these layouts, but both teams pushing each other to the very edges of their offensive capabilities, and still La Fiata and La Gala have not left the pitch. Zone being played by Box to try and slow things down here. La Gala just working in the small space with Bisceglia. Now Grozzi. Moves around to Arcangeli, La Fiata. But it's going to go out of bounds just in front of our sideline camera.
That was a great read and an active D from number 12.
Amri Kuhn, I think.
Yeah, directly in front of our camera, so a bit hard to see from this angle, but really read that well and just managed to get the tip on that, push it out the sideline.
Well, La Fiata and La Gala getting a little bit hasty, forgetting that defenders can get in the way of their connections every so often. So a real opportunity here for the first possible break for Box in the second half. Meister. Mighty good backhand. It's got a lot of flow on it. Can La Fiata this time make the play? She doesn't need to. There's a foul call, but that was the D for Chiara Temaroli.
Yeah, challenging. That was a bit swirly, bit over their heads. Well read by La Fiata, but the streaking body coming in did seem to be sort of disrupting what was maybe an attempt to make a second bid on that.
Well, it's always tricky with Temaroli coming in from sort of the side of the pack, lots of momentum being brought through and energy into this one. Let's get a slower view of it.
Oh.
It depends whether she's calling a foul or a strip. I think a strip has...
that's called as a strip, yeah. And that's accepted and called as a goal. That's a difficult one because it was really a question of sort of millimeters. So to say you have full control is a hard argument to make, but there certainly was contact. And I do think if there hadn't been contact, it looked like that had a high probability chance of being caught. But the strip call is a challenging one. You have to be able to say you're sure you had control, and that one's been accepted, so no, it's no longer relevant. But yeah.
Your point is relevant. So what must be the outcome is that Anne Kroon there must have been absolutely sure that she had that in her hands with full control. And that's the benefit of the doubt we have to give the players on the field, right? The same way as if we were in that discussion ourselves. She said, yep, I had that one. It was firmly in my hands. It looks like to us maybe not the strongest reception, maybe not the cleanest of catches. That doesn't stay in the hands for very long.
She does have a hand on top and a hand underneath. I think she's in the process of stopping rotation. It's hard to say as the contact comes through, but I think, you know, she's argued that she had control, and I think actually from that replay, it seems reasonable, and as we say, they've accepted it on field and we accept it in the booth.
We have to accept it because our opinion matters not. On the replay, I think probably that one is one for r/ultimate to discuss, maybe. Let the trolls troll it. But of course, that one punching in a much needed break for Box to regain their 3-point lead here. Lagala, though, will receive that one around the back of the pack. Bondi in acreage, near sideline, throws it, and it's a spoil the run through block for Roy. Well, Box are fighting back here in the last few minutes. Just over quarter of an hour left of the time clock. Box still 4 points shy of the victory. Kramer in the end zone. She's going to run it down perfectly, surely. Yes, she does, and gets a little bit of contact because she had to spin all the way around, but great spirit between those two athletes. Grutzi doing everything she could to try and deny, but Tabia Kramer, 25-year-old physical education teacher, teaches everyone a lesson on how to run down.
We've talked a lot about Tequila Boom Boom's offense really kind of coming together in the latter part of this game, particularly after second half, getting their D line, whether they have a strict D line or not, but starting a D point, getting the turn, and then putting it in for the score. But I also think we just need to recognise the work that Box are putting in here. It's been sort of a bit of a pendulum swing throughout this game, but in this later stages, it did feel like there were a few points where they were moving the disc a little bit tentatively, perhaps feeling under pressure. Their lead had diminished to just one, and seeming a bit stifled by some of the Tequila Boom Boom defense. But in these last few points, they've just come out and played the way that they want to play. And I really, really respect that we've seen some really great deep defense, but Box are still happy if they see that cut going and they see that right level of separation. I think that's the key point. We did see maybe a little bit of a less safe choice in an earlier point where they put a disc up and there wasn't quite enough separation, but they've made that adjustment, and we see those shots still coming up at the business end of this high pressure game. And I just really respect an offense and a team that can play the way they want to play despite the kind of the stakes.
Well, it's interesting because actually in the last couple of points we've seen Tequila Boom Boom throw those, you know, shots into close coverage. Those kind of, oh yeah, no, she'll get that. Oh wait, hold on. There's a defender that's gotten in the way and blocked it. So it's an interesting one to see that particular syndrome passing hands between the two as the big old shot across to Grutzi is run down. Oh, the shapeliness of that throw to Ascari. 'Tis a thing of beauty. Throws one to Lagala, runs it down in plenty of space. A big backhand break across the rundown is indeed there. And an easy high clap catch for Sofia Albani. Punches one back on the scoreboard for Tequila Boom Boom, but they're going to have to go on a run of breaks in the last quarter hour of this game after conceding 3 on the bounce.
That was a stunning point. Such prowess in the throwing. We really can see the throwers making the effort to get the disc just where it needs to be. Looks off a pass that was definitely marked, and then as you said, that shape on that, beautiful, just sitting out into the space. Again, just down the line, small margins, but comfortably weighted, and then a nice, beautiful arcing crossfield backhand right into the space, comfortably received for a beaming receiver.
That was a clinic. That was an absolute clinic in how to execute absolutely sensational throws. So again, we have unsurprisingly not seen Carmen Lagala or Nicole Lafiata leave the pitch in the second half. They are physically and emotionally the big leaders on this Rimini side.
Yeah, and you made the point earlier, when a team shortens lines, as most teams will be doing when you get to this sort of stage of a big tournament, it can be really challenging for the squad, the whole team, you know, to stay involved, to stay focused, and that has, I think, also been a huge contributor in the second half of this game, is that we sort of had a lot of energy coming from the sideline, and even players who might have sort of fewer plays on the pitch this game, or perhaps maybe not even sort of see the field, are really invested, and we can hear their voices now. We see them walking down the sideline to support this zone as they try and get a turn on box and are successful.
To be fair, I think also Ascari and also Martinini and Vishela have been picking up lots of duty in this second half. Also Ascari with that shapely throw before hits Martinini. Lagala trying to go with the footwork and grind herself open. Oh, but thrown into coverage. Helen Terra was there. And there's going to be a little bit of a discussion. Ariana Ascari saying, I felt like you went too much over my shoulder. Or maybe she's calling a strip. Let's have a look at the replay. Terra's hand certainly over the top of Ascari's, laced together.
Yeah, this is a challenging call from the replay. I think it's so dependent on what the level of contact was on field, and I think it's so difficult to communicate that and to see that clearly. Sometimes when it's absolutely, you know, way too much contact, you can see that from the replay. But in these tight, you know, you're both running the same line. Perhaps there's a little bit of hitting of the arm or the hand.
To be fair, it does actually look in the early stages of that cut like Ascari had the inside channel well kind of kept with the hips. It does look a little bit like Terra aggressively comes over that back shoulder after getting closed out sort of towards the latter stages of the cut. So it's going to be a contested foul and send it back. A fair resolution, I think.
Yeah, definitely a tight one. Both vying for that space, both running in a straight line. Bit of contact on the hands, particularly at this stage of the game. It can be a sort of something that's definitely going to be called, but contested in this case.
Well, I think probably not the best choice of shot from Asia Martinini. But this is fantastic person coverage from box to deny the rest of the pack and make that look like the most attractive choice. So it's going to be a shot to the back corner, and it is Lagala going up high and a casual dish toss to celebrate that goal. Just makes it look so easy.
Yeah, as soon as I saw Lagala setting up right in front of the disc coming in, you just know what the play is going to be. I think it's been sort of rinse and repeat on that look time and time again. That beautiful arcing forehand in that far corner, and she's got the height, she's got the stature, she knows how to kind of really attack it well. I thought for a moment that might go over her head, but no problem at all. Very, very comfortable, and you can tell that that's a play that they've done time and time again.
Well, Lagala unsurprisingly eating up the stats board here. 2 goals and 2 assists. Ascari as well. 2 goals and 2 assists. So Martinini punching in her second assist of the game. But I also want to take a little bit of a little brief moment to talk about Tabea Kramer of box. Actually started playing with the Valencia side, Murciélagos. Even though she's Austrian, picked up the sport in Spain. Her Erasmus stay in Valencia, and of course they will be hosting Quechebo, one of the Europe's premier beach tournaments, later on, in fact just in a couple of weeks, and we will be bringing you that coverage, folks. ULTI.TV, live, wild and free. And of course, if you are enjoying the coverage here of the European Ultimate Club Championship Finals event, so you see that one well ignored by Rimina Saila, realising that one was going to be landing on the tape and ergo out of bounds for one of our rarely bricked pools in this women's game. You know what to do to support us. Become a patron, like, subscribe, do all the things. Thumbs up this game. So you see Pashinga moving solidly through. Another look at the Italian zone, trying to put more pressure on and deny the matchup defense. Seiler squats low, patiently receives. Back into Pashinger. Roy. Looking for Pashinger. It's got Ascari as the matchup. Takes it aggressively but misses it. The wind just rising as that held in the air. La Fiata. Central spot matched up with Terra, and just a curious series of events. That looked like it was a secure catch, but then it glusts and blusters around, and Pashinger will take the time out, maybe just to see if the breeze will settle.
Yeah, definitely gustier in those last few moments, perhaps contributing to both of those turns. But just, and again, maybe a little bit of lack of focus on the execution, both on the throw and on the catch. Need to make sure you're adapting as the gusts pick up and diminish.
Well, we will take a break here in the booth to see if Tequila Boom Boom can break back again and get themselves closer to box, though they charge in front 12-10.
We live in a world where everything can be referenced online. Imagine if the greatest moments in our sport were never filmed. Eurodisc continues to do what it takes to make free-to-watch live streams a reality. Let's leave nothing to the imagination. We'll consume the action live, and we'll support those that help to make it happen. If it wasn't streamed, it didn't happen. Eurodisc.
What a grab! Oh my! Somehow they do it! Come on, Brett!
There are so many reasons to outfit your team in Force beyond just looking the part of a champion. Force offers professional design services with their dedicated graphics team. All apparel is produced in France. Force works with a local labour team and their raw materials are sourced in Europe. Force insists on transparency with no hidden fees and international express shipping. Look the part and play the part with Force Sportswear.
We are getting to the sharp end of this European Ultimate Championship Finals event, and certainly the exciting, spicy climax of this women's pre-quarter final matchup. Only one can advance forward. It's box at the moment in front after an absolutely scandalously good performance, really shutting Tequila Boom Boom out of the first half. They took it 8-2. But since then, what a change. Tequila Boom Boom breaking back a full 5 times. 2 breaks further for box, hence the lead of 12-10. A little bit of an early start off there, but all fine, no violations caught. Pashinger into Roy, who just basically ran a full circle and came back underneath. There's a pit call because Helen Terra is suspiciously open.
Oh, okay, and interesting. I think that's been retracted as she's recognised that she was maybe more than 3 meters away and therefore not within a close enough distance to call a pick.
Well, I think the rules changed to closely covering, so it's no longer a true 3 meters.
Well, might need to refresh on that one, but that call retracted and the disc stays where it was. Huge grab, getting high for that one.
Kramer looking for Pashinger, who just corks it a little bit. Oh, that one's low, but Helen Terra makes it fine enough and just throws. Oh, there's a travel call. So that one will pop back. We may well see exactly the same throw. Roy has that little bit of extra advantage. There's going to be communication, I'm sure, and La Fiata will put on a flat force for the first second. In fact, that is probably what the coaches are saying right there.
Yep.
Nice and flat to stop that one going straight to Roy. Back to Pashinger. They choose not to challenge the rounds quick enough, but there's a marking infraction called and a little chat about it, so maybe Martinini did. Oh, foul, there we go. So a foul is a stoppage. You can call contact if you don't want to stop the play. Oh, that's a lovely break around from the paws of Johanna Roy, and Terra underneath it, terrorizing the opposition as always, and box within 2 of their quarterfinals berth here at the European Championship level.
That feels like the sort of quintessential Box approach to offense. They're so happy to reset. They don't care about losing yards. They'll wait until the right option comes up, and they'll execute it flawlessly. And it'd be very easy to be right on that end zone line, have that disco back on the travel, and then sort of try and force it in. As you say, obviously they adapted really well on defense to try and block a repeat of that exact same pass, but there was a lot of movement in front of the disc. It could have been, sometimes people get sort of a bit of a tunnel vision on the end zone, but Box are very, very calm. They show a real sort of maturity in their approach to offense by waiting, finding the reset, happy to lose some yards, happy to reset again, and they'll only take that pass in when they're sure of it. Yeah, again, it's just been a really, when it's worked for them this game, it's worked so well. We have seen disruptions to some of that flow, courtesy of the Tequila Boom Boom pressure and the Tequila defense and sort of the momentum shift that happened earlier in the game. But Box just sort of resetting themselves and getting back to that kind of calm, quintessential Box style of offense.
So to give you a little bit of a brief update of our pre-quarter rounds just in general, a couple of them have gone to the points cap already with just under 2 minutes and change remaining. So Troubles Warsaw have beaten Dublin Gravity 15-13. Moon Cup smooshed 3SB 15-6. Icenium Bristol, the UK affair is still ongoing, but 14-9 in favour of the London regained national champion team. Of course, first time since 2017. And of course, this in front of us, yet to be determined. But Tequila Boom Boom starting to run out of time here to try and push their heads in front. They haven't had a lead at any point during this game, but they have looked mighty tasty. That one, lovely shapeliness to find Lagala. La Fiata stretching on the far wing. Oh, I love that backhand inside, but it's going to be taken away. Excellent play by Johanna Roy. Don't know why I'm rolling those R's, but I kind of like it. Meister picking us up. In to Ninaus. Kati Ninaus finds Meister again. Similarly statured players. Oh, and that's a little trot off towards the back, but it's Grozzi making the play. There's a little bit of a stumble from Johanna Roy, but clean enough. Well, in big moments, Lucrezia Grozzi has a bit of a habit of turning up.
Oh, bit of confusion about where the disc needs to come in. I think she thought she was inside the end zone and therefore tried to take a few meters out, but I think that...
But the smackdown from Kramer. Yep. A very strange series of events happening, but this is goal line action and it is going to punch us all the way possibly to a game to 15. But then again, we are 20 seconds away from the time cap going on in this match. It is Rottensteiner to get us underway. Throws all the way across and there's a layout attempt, but cannot deny Johanna Roy. Hopefully Sofia Albani is okay. She is coming up from the rubber crumb a little bit awkwardly, but that is what you have to do. You have to make those plays. You have to really put your body on the line, because this is knockout rounds here in the pinnacle of the championship club season.
I think that was a very awkward landing, but a great effort to try and get the D there, and I'm surprised it didn't happen. That was a phenomenal catch. Must have been sort of through her arms, just needing a moment to sort of make sure she's feeling all right. Can be a bit shaken up when you sort of rattle into the ground like that.
Yeah, I think she just got a little bit of a face full of the legs there. Johanna Roy, as you say, making an excellent catch. And that is what you don't like to see, players being carried off the field by other people, and a timeout is being called just to give them a bit of moments to refocus. So 14-10 for Box Vienna. We've got a timeout on the field, so we'll take a timeout in the booth as well. Don't go anywhere though, folks. We are in the time cap, game to 15. Tequila Boom Boom keep the game alive any longer.
Wait. Isn't this for the other apparel? We've got like new stuff, right?
bring it in. No, no, bring it in, bring it in, bring it in. Feast your eyes on the new fan version of our iconic ULTI.TV sweatshirts. Great fan gear available for you. Check out our new range of colors and insist on staying warm and looking fresh. Shipping is available after EUCF. Get your fan gear and be one of us.
So the first game point here for Box of Vienna, trying to get themselves into the quarter-finals at the European Ultimate Club Championship finals event here in Wrocław, Poland. Tequila Boom Boom, though, have gone on runs of breaks before. We saw them put 4 in a row to open up this second half, more or less. So Lucrezia Grozzi just has to keep putting these in. Of course, the winner of this game will be facing up against Jinx of Berlin. But Grozzi looking a little bit lost for options, puts one through. That is a beautiful inside flick to the space. Ascari now. Back to Grozzi. Moving the cup around with all these fakes. Martinini. Back to Grozzi. There's no rush, you just have to take your time, keep popping these in slowly but surely. That's a lovely, again, hitting that sideline to Martinini, keeping their spacing nice. Now La Fiata. And for the first point, we see La Gala taking a little bit of a break. I do think that's the first time she's not on, but they still have Grozzi, Ascari and La Fiata. Oh, an inside shot. That is a beautiful disc indeed. And that will be the one of many required. Temeroli with the goal.
Tequila Boom offense, finding the gaps there. If you looked at sort of the bigger picture of the field, about sort of 80 to 90% of that point was run up that far sideline, probably only in about 6 to 8 meter space. All the players on the field are in that kind of one-third far side channel, really not giving themselves much lateral space at all. But as we saw earlier in the game, they really struggled with that, and it seems like they've sort of managed to find that patience and that perseverance to work it through, even when they're working in small spaces. If that's the style of play that they're looking to achieve, working in those small spaces, then they need to make sure that they're finding those connections. But it does seem like there's a lot more field they could be exploring, so I don't know if that's a conscious strategy, but either way it's an adjustment they've made, and they're seeing the success of that from the sort of just finding the right option and putting it carefully through the small spaces, as opposed to earlier in the game where we saw multiple turns from working in such small areas.
Well, we have seen a lot of the turnovers for Tequila Boom Boom when they've thrown to people who are very closely defended. Some sort of, trust balls that have gone up. I really enjoyed the work of Asia Martinini, just keeping the spread on the far sideline. A tricky throw to execute, but they have the caliber of sort of throwing prowess to hit those spaces consistently, which they proved in that point. But yeah, they could swing it a little bit more, be a bit more expansive. But this is the first true game point for Box, coming out with the disc in hand, and a nice pull landing just in bounds. Oh, but it's going to be signaled as a brick. I thought that one hit in bounds first, but they see it different. And Pashinga, who's had a quiet game stats board wise in this pre-quarter final, but has been racking them up during the course of the tournament. Initially gets it all the way to the far side, and we see the zone from the Italians. Just going to be a slow and patient move forward. There's a challenge to the fact that the stall count from Ascari continued despite her sagging off quite far from Pashinga. So she's calling the violation, saying you were too far.
Yeah, sort of a bit of reflection from the sideline that they demonstrated the 3 meters, but actually ended up definitely still a little distance away. Not too much, but enough that probably was outside the necessary distance to be stalling.
Well, I mean, it's a difficult one. We could try and get a sort of, you know, a 3-meter stick onto the field, I think, but it was some of the intensity of the closeness of some of the Italian marks. I think where she ended up after those 3 steps was probably quite far away considering the rest of the marks that we've seen during the rest of this game. But that's a lovely inside shot, finding Brandl. Nice to see her back on the pitch after that injury. You can see Helen Terra having to hold onto the disc as Lagala goes off for it. Grozzi in the end zone, well, towards the end zone with a big old block. Would have been nice to see her catch that because it nearly ends up still staying in bounds. But a great rundown.
Oh, I like that look, but it just sat a little bit too short. If that had managed to just get that bit more distance, sit out in front, the separation was there, but it kind of arced round. It had a nice shape, but ultimately kind of sacrificing a little bit of depth for a little bit of too much curve, bringing it up, bringing it in a bit shorter than really it needed to be, and that gives the defense a great play, which they are successful in making.
Yeah, it needed to be more of a Japanese style throw, the way they hit their sort of targets in the deep space, that real pace and energy, vim affair. So, Ascari, near sideline. Grozzi trying to work it. That one's going to have to be an inhuman level to try and bring it back in. Almost sort of, actually no, probably too low to try and get a greatest attempt, and that is going to give an enviably short field. So an undercooked throw, but a nice option, giving a very short field for Box. Paschinger. With that one initiating to Rothsteiner, who has to go to ground. Brandl challenges that big backhand around, but doesn't take it. Paschinger now, though, does. Hits Roy. This for the game. Paschinger with the spin move around, has Helen Terra streaking towards the near side. Looks off Roy with a nice flat separation across the front. Chat about a bit too much contact for the liking of Veronika Paschinger. The 28-year-old's been playing since she was 16. That's a bit of maths for me.
We've certainly seen some very, very close forcing, as you mentioned earlier in this point, Henny, from the Italian side. They are players who aren't afraid to use their bodies. So far, Box, there's been a couple of calls relating to contact, but they've sort of accepted a certain level of physicality on the mark. It seems, though, there was some discussion here, contested foul, and that one comes in on 4.
Roy going for a bit and point and shoot. Rottensteiner. Back to Roy. Flat move. Kramer. Back to Roy. Paschinger going all the way around the back, trying to lose it loose. Terra streaking through. To Kramer. No, Rottensteiner, sorry. Oh, but that's a lovely backhand, and that is going to be the game for Box. They advance to the quarterfinals to face up against Jinx of Berlin. What a massive game this was. Momentum swings, so many breaks on both sides, but Box, who took the early lead, held on firmly by that 2-point margin all game long.
Box definitely, there were some shakier moments. We saw the 4-point run from Tequila Boom Boom with 3 breaks in the middle of the game, and it felt like maybe the story was going to shift. Maybe Tequila Boom Boom were going to be able to get their heads back in enough to continue that role, but Box Vienna doing a phenomenal job of denying that to them, denying that comeback train. But all power to Tequila Boom Boom. They played with so much force, so much focus in that second half, and I'm really glad. They should be so proud of what they managed to achieve on the field today. And you know, starting the game a little bit slower, a little bit less focused, a little bit less able to connect, it's very easy to let that just get away from you, but they would not let it sit. They worked so hard to get themselves back in that game, and although this isn't the scoreline that they were looking for, and they'll be quite devastated not to be proceeding to those upper games to still fight for those medals, I'm sure they can be very proud of how they managed to get themselves back into that game. And as you mentioned, Hanny, so many players that's so exceptionally young. It's just phenomenal to see, and that kind of the experience this early in their career is just going to set them in such good stead as they move forward.
Absolutely. The one thing we have to say for Box Vienna, who are now going to have to face up against Jinx of Berlin, is they're going to have to be cleaner with these break chances. They converted only 8 of the 20 opportunities they had out here on the field. But that will wrap us up, folks, because that game going overtime. Your quarter-finalists are Jinx, Box Vienna, East Block against Troubles of Warsaw, Yaka Iceni and Shout Moon Cup. Don't go anywhere though, folks. We're going to have quite the stormer in front of us on this stadium pitch. Wall City versus 3SB in the open division. For myself, Hannah Pendlebury, for Rachel Douglas and all of our hard-working ULTI.TV crew. We will see you on the other side.
Thank you. Thanks.
Yeah, Ultimate.
ULTI.TV.
Get some